Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today, we will be discussing one of the most iconic aircraft of World War II, the Boeing B-29 Superfortress. Not only was this aircraft a sophisticated strategic bomber for its time, but it was also a symbol of incredible technological innovation. We will look at how this aircraft was designed, the challenges faced during its development, and the revolutionary features that made it so special. So make sure you stay with us until the end, because there will be many interesting facts that you may not have known. Let's get started. The Boeing B-29 Superfortress was a four-engine strategic bomber, distinguished by its exceptional performance during its era. It was the sole American aircraft capable of directly targeting Japan due to its extended range, and its production represented the largest aircraft manufacturing effort of World War II. The B-29 development began under the R-40B specifications issued in January 1940, though work on the concept of a long-range bomber had started as early as March 1938. Initially, Boeing introduced the Model 341, a mid-wing monoplane with tricycle landing gear and Pratt & Whitney R2800 engines. However, updated specifications in March 1940 necessitated improved bomb load capacity and defensive armament, resulting in the Model 345. This new design incorporated Wright R3350 duplex Cyclone 18-cylinder engines and advanced defensive systems, including 10 12.7mm machine guns and a 20mm cannon in remotely operated retractable turrets. A centralized firing system allowed gunners to control multiple turrets, enabling a unified defense against enemy aircraft from any angle. The cockpit was pressurized, and conventional hydraulic and pneumatic systems were replaced with electric motors for enhanced dependability. Following a design review in May 1940, Boeing was awarded a contract in August to produce two B-29 prototypes. Under engineer E. Bell's supervision, the project required an investment of $3 billion, an extraordinary amount at the time. The B-29 prototype, powered by R3350-13 engines, made its maiden flight on September 15, 1942. However, the testing phase was riddled with persistent engine problems. The second prototype encountered multiple failures, including an engine fire during its first flight on December 30, 1942, and a catastrophic crash on February 18, 1943, caused by another engine fire that reached the fuel tanks. The issues were only resolved with the third prototype, tested in June 1943, clearing the way for the B-29 pre-production series. The first B-29, equipped with R3350-21 engines, was finished in April 1943, though its inaugural flight didn't occur until July due to the need for extensive performance assessments. By August 1943, full-scale production of the B-29 commenced, with Boeing, Martin, and Bell as manufacturers. The program required immense resources, involving over 60 factories for parts production. In total, 3,965 B-29s were built, with production concluding in May 1946. Key design elements of the B-29 Superfortress. The B-29 was an innovative all-metal heavy bomber featuring a mid-fuselage design and a stressed skin structure. Extensive use of aluminum sheets and profiles, combined with plexiglass for cockpit windows, armor plating, and bulletproof glass, characterized its construction. The fuselage, circular in cross-section for optimal strength and reduced drag, was divided into 5 main sections. It was reinforced with bulkheads, frames, and auxiliary structures, with skin panels fastened using countersunk rivets, except near the gun turrets, where rounded rivets added extra strength. The cantilever tail assembly included a durable stabilizer with a load-bearing framework covered in metal skin. The rudder and elevators were fabric-covered to reduce weight and enhance flexibility. The retractable landing gear comprised 3 legs, 2 main legs with dual wheels and hydropneumatic shock absorbers, and a nose gear with 2 wheels and a single shock absorber. A retractable tail skid protected the aircraft's underside during takeoffs and landings. Electric motors operated the landing gear retraction system, completing the process in about a minute. Hydraulic brakes provided effective stopping power during landings. The B-29 Superfortress featured 3 pressurized cabins within its fuselage. The forward and rear cabins were connected by a tunnel that measured 34 inches in diameter and 33 feet in length, allowing crew members to move between the sections. The bomber's crew consisted of 10 to 14 members with a standard complement of 10, a crew commander, co-pilot, navigator, flight engineer, bombardier, radio operator, and 4 gunners. The forward pressurized cabin housed the pilot, co-pilot, navigator, flight engineer, and radio operator. The nose of the aircraft, with its expansive glass windows, provided excellent visibility for both the pilot and the bombardier. The rear pressurized cabin accommodated 3 gunners and housed the remote control systems for the defensive gun turrets. Targeting devices were mounted under transparent domes, with 2 domes on the sides and 1 on top of the fuselage. This section also included 4 long seats for crew members to rest during extended missions. Additionally, the aft cockpit contained space for a radar operator, potentially serving as an 11th crew member. At the very rear of the fuselage was a small tail cockpit dedicated to the tail gunner. All crew stations were protected by armor to shield against shrapnel and bullets. The pressurized cabins greatly enhanced crew comfort, shielding them from low air pressure, noise, cold temperatures, and strong winds. Communication within the cabins was possible without the use of intercoms. Cabin pressure was maintained using internal engine systems. However, before approaching a target, the pressurization system was released to prevent explosive decompression in the event of accidental damage. When the pressurization was deactivated, oxygen masks were used. The design of the B-29's wing profile was influenced by aerodynamic studies conducted by Boeing's division even before the B-29 project began. The promising profile was initially developed for the Boeing HRVV-1C Ranger flying boat. This design featured a thicker central section and a concave trailing edge on both the upper and lower surfaces, providing low aerodynamic drag and substantial lift at high speeds. The high lift-to-drag ratio allowed for a reduced wing area while maintaining significant span and extension. Structurally, the wings consisted of 5 main sections, a central section, 2 outboard panels, each housing the landing gear, engine nacelles, and flaps, and 2 wingtips. The load-bearing components of each section were a front spar and a rear spar connected by rigid ribs. The wing structure also included a leading edge frame. Duralumin sheets, secured with flush rivets, were used for the wing skin, with the front spar designed to be removable for internal access. The B-29 was equipped with large Fowler flaps along the trailing edge of the wings, extending from the fuselage to the ailerons. These flaps were made of metal and significantly enhanced the aircraft's lift during landing and takeoff. The fabric-covered ailerons were dynamically and statically balanced, featuring trim tabs and balancing surfaces. This combination of wing, flap, and aileron design allowed for a relatively low landing speed of just 160 km/h, 99 miles per hour. The XB-29 prototype and YB-29 pre-production bombers were fitted with 5.18-meter, 17-foot diameter Hamilton standard hydromatic propellers with 3 blades. Production B-29 models, however, featured 4-blade Hamilton standard propellers with a slightly smaller diameter of 5.05 meters, 16 feet 7 inches, and wide-range variable pitch capabilities. To improve reliability and reduce noise, the propellers operated at relatively low rotational speeds. Some B-29 and B-29B models were also equipped with Curtiss electric propellers, which utilized an electric pitch control system. All propellers synchronized their pitch changes through a common regulator. Each engine had an independent fuel supply, with 4 primary fuel tanks positioned between the wing spars. Fuel for the inner engines was stored in 2 tanks located between the inner and outer nacelles, while the tanks for the outer engines were situated beyond the outer nacelles. In the event of a fuel tank leak, fuel could be transferred to intact tanks. The total fuel capacity of the aircraft was 30,283 liters, 8,000 US gallons. Additionally, the bomb bays could accommodate up to 4 auxiliary fuel tanks, 2 in each bay. Experience with earlier bombers like the B-29 and B-24 revealed the low survivability of hydraulic systems in combat, prompting designers to minimize their use in the B-29. As a result, hydraulic systems were reserved primarily for landing gear brakes. Primary flight controls were operated via conventional mechanical rods, which were duplicated to enhance reliability. Trim adjustments were managed with electric motors. The Superfortress featured an unconventional control system for a strategic bomber. During the initial design phase, engineers anticipated that the large control surfaces might require excessive effort from pilots. While powered controls using hydraulic or electric systems were considered, they were ultimately deemed too complex. Instead, the trim tabs were strategically positioned to balance the aerodynamic forces acting on the control surfaces, eliminating the need for control amplifiers. To reduce pilot workload, some instruments, particularly those monitoring engine performance, were relocated to a panel near the flight engineer's station. The B-29 was initially equipped with anti-icing systems, but these were often removed in combat situations because damage to the system could interfere with control operations. After the war, the anti-icing systems were reinstated on modified versions designed for Arctic conditions and on aircraft used during the Korean War. Standard U.S. Army Air Force's radio and navigation equipment were installed on the B-29. The B-29 and B-29A models were fitted with N/APQ-13 radar, used for ground mapping, bombing, and navigation over mountainous terrain. The B-29B featured the N/APQ-7 Eagle radar, which offered high-resolution capabilities. Later, B-29B aircraft were also equipped with N/APQ-15B radar integrated with the tail gun targeting system to detect enemy aircraft approaching from the rear. The B-29 was equipped with 3 standard cameras for mission documentation during bombing runs. These cameras were mounted between the tail and the rear pressurized cabin. In addition, some crew members carried handheld K-20 cameras. The bomber featured 2 bomb bays, one in the forward fuselage and the other in the rear, separated by the aircraft's center section. Vertical racks with bomb shackles were installed in each bay, which could also be used to carry cargo containers or auxiliary fuel tanks. Initially, the bomb bays were equipped with electric motors for the bomb bay doors. These motors opened the doors gradually as the aircraft approached its target. However, the lengthy opening process allowed enemy forces to pinpoint the aircraft's position. Additionally, the open doors created significant drag, causing noticeable vibrations. To address these issues, production models replaced the electric motors with pneumatic actuators, reducing the door opening time to just a few seconds. However, the sudden opening of pneumatically powered doors posed a safety risk to personnel standing nearby. As a precaution, the bomb bay doors were kept open while the aircraft was on the ground.